everyone. How are you? Shall we check mics just to make sure we're working?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we're great.
Mike's here.
Yes, perfect. This is how you know it's live, everyone. I am Lisa Morton. I am the Group Marketing Director at Incubeta, and I get the privilege of being able to grill these two on all the questions I'm sure you are dying to hear the answers to. So thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me put you in the hot seat.
Let's go.
Yeah. I don't actually need a clicker. So, tomorrow's world is all about the future. It's looking towards what advertisers should be expecting, what's happening in the industry. And I guess my first question to you is, we work with a lot of global brands. We talk to a lot of advertisers out there. What are the top priorities for 2026 and really the hurdles that they are trying to overcome?
I mean, our white paper does a great job of describing this, but overall, I would say it's really important for brands and our clients to get their basics right. Make sure you can measure what you're doing, right? I mean, there's so much change in the ecosystem and there's so many new things to try and do that just keeping track of what you're doing, how it works, where it impacts is incredibly important. That's number one. I think what's incredibly important is to almost rethink how marketing functions within an overall business ecosystem, right? It's becoming a lot more quantified, become a lot more integrated, and the domains within marketing of brand, performance, brand creative, performance creative, these walls are coming down really fast, right? And they're coming down because consumers are changing their behavior really quickly. And that's, I think, a really exciting opportunity. Max just said he's bored with search. I mean, if you're bored with marketing, this is like the most exciting time to be alive because the rules are getting rewritten. And clients need to be curious, they need to be structured, and they need to be really methodical in order to get that right.
Yeah.
I was bored by search. I'm loving it again now. I think the main thing that comes across my desk all the time is, people being asked to do something with AI. They don't know what, they're just being tasked to do something with AI. It's something we hear all the time. And it is great to look at, how can we do, unlock little efficiency gains, how can we stop wasting time? But really where this gets super exciting is, how can we bring all that data together to unlock insights and unlock value that we were never able to get before. So, let's make sure we're, really not just looking at how can we automate, how can we speed things up, but let's look at how can we actually drive drastic change by leveraging our data more intelligently with AI.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it comes across very well that is what Incubeta is trying to do at the moment. When we look at like CPI, the Creative Performance Index, what is the impact you've been seeing from that so far with the clients that have been using it?
That's a good question. I mean, creative has lived on its own in such a subjective way of interpreting what works and what doesn't work, right? And look, we're a bunch of nerds. We like analyzing things. We like quantifying things, right? And the CPI really allows us to do that. We can, as Max showed, really distill to what works within a creative, right? But it's still, you're only observing, right? I think what brings the CPI impact really to life for our clients is what do you do with it next? How do you make sure you build a proper creative testing roadmap? How do you make sure we associate it with the right personas you're targeting? How are you measuring that impact? How are you testing that at a wider scale? It becomes big and small at the same time because you can be really anchored in what you're improving, but really following that through is massive. And look, for clients that get this working, we're not talking about 2-3% fractional improvements, right? These are big game-changing elements that really bring creativity and strategic thinking around marketing back to the heart of what we all do as an industry versus just tinkering with numbers and toggles and switches, which is great.
Yeah, and just to add on that, I think for me, also super exciting what we're able to do in just proving the value of creative through these advanced measurement methods powered by the CPI. So often creative is overlooked. It's always, it's how do we balance our media, what bidding strategy we're using, et cetera, et cetera. All the focus is always on the media. But just to add on to what Mike's saying, being able to actually prove that this jump in your creative investment has delivered X amount of revenue is just super exciting data to give back to our clients and help them justify how they invest in creative to really help them grow.
Yeah, and as a marketer, I mean, all of us are marketers, but creative is one of the most powerful tools you can have in your arsenal. one of the things that I wanted to talk about is platforms like Google have AI built in. You've got AI Max, you've got PMax. Where does seamless technology fit into that? Why do you need something on top of what already exists in the platform?
You take that one, Mike.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's kind of in the name with seamless. You know what it's designed here to do is help you link up these disparate data sources which traditionally sit separate to unlock more value. So within the traditional way, when we're talking about seamless search, that's combining paid and organic data, which Google typically doesn't, link up, using some advanced machine learning modeling to be able to facilitate that. For PMax, it's about, how can we take all these disparate unstructured data sources like reviews or search query data, or it could be absolutely anything, to push into our feed to, hack our way to the top of those shopping rankings. And for AI Max, like I said, I'm super excited about it. There's so much opportunity for you to gain an advantage on your competitor set by using that data more intelligently. Like, it's such an amazing stream of data that we're getting where, typically, we're not necessarily seeing all the search query data from OpenAI and other LLMs. That is going to be the vehicle for ads showing up within AI overviews and AI mode within Google. So we're going to get an amazing live feed of what data is actually feeding these LLMs. And that helps us from a paid perspective, but it also is going to benefit everything we want to do within that GEO space, really helping build out that content, with our digital PR teams, with AI supported plans to generate that content. Is really going to help clients dominate that space and really regain a lot of control that maybe has potentially been lost since this whole LLM driven search thing has come about.
Yeah. And we've talked a lot today, and I think just in general, everybody's been talking about the change in consumer behavior, the way search is changing, the impact that's having on all of our clients and brands out there. We've even seen it across our own platforms. I think last year is when I first started seeing the AI-driven traffic to the website, which is amazing. But how does seamless search fit into that? And how do we prepare for agentic commerce?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot in kind of what I previously just said. It's really about how can we help, firstly, help clients really drive feed excellence. That's going to be a huge part of what happens moving forward. We saw the announcement from Google last week, and starting to see some insight in what those feed structures look like. I mean, OpenAI announced this last year, did nothing, but gave us an example of all the different, new feed elements that we can bring into the feed, which again is super exciting. Be interesting to see how they police that versus Google, because I feel like Google has a lot of experience making sure people don't mess around too much. I think OpenAI, there's probably a lot of opportunity to hack. We'll see how that goes. And now, driven by Google's announcement last week, they finally actually launched shopping. So it's an exciting time, and Seamless is really here to help, improve the feed, improve how we're analyzing all of that search query data. This is what Seamless Search is all about, both across the paid and the organic spectrum.
Yeah. And so we've talked a lot about our seamless technology and how that fits into the strategy, but we also have our Outperform solutions, which are much bigger programs and journeys that take you from point A to point Z, really, not even point B, to really drive impact for your business. Can you give a concrete example of where we've seen that happen for our clients?
I mean, it turns into a humble brag, right? But I mean, the seamless search example is a good one, and I'm just gonna round it off. I know the data point says a 49% increase in search profit, but let's just round it off to 50%, right? Imagine how much impact that has. Imagine that you bring in tooling that lives on top of what you're doing. You're extracting 50% more profits out of what you're doing, right? That's very, very impressive without lifting a finger, just rebalancing your budget, redoing the things you're doing, right? It shows you how transformative some of this technology can be, and we have the feeling we're just scratching the surface there, right? I mean, what we see with clients who embark with us on the Outperform journey through the rapid results that we prove out to them it opens up this whole array of what's next, right? And that's just a really exciting piece. You're not done as a marketer when you've implemented seamless search, right? What's next on the journey? What's the next step that you look to unlock? And that's where Outperform solutions come in really well. But it's also where the connectivity of the whole seamless value prop comes together, right? It's just really exciting. And I think the more we integrate the platforms and we faster we drive their roadmap, the larger the returns will be for our clients.
Which is always very exciting.
Right?
Max, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think Mike nailed that on the head there.
Very eloquent. Now, lastly, for marketing leaders who really want to have intelligent future-ready systems, what is the number one strategic step that we want them to be taking in 2026?
You go first, Max.
From my perspective, but I'm going to come from a very data side of things. Maybe Mike can give a bit more of a broad view. But from my perspective, it's really about understanding these key drivers of demand and key drivers of business for you. What are these key signals that actually affect everything that happens with your customers? And that can be price competition, stock, margin, the weather is the most popular one to use, but often not that useful. All these different signals go into deciding whether a customer buys your product or your service or not. So by not being able to feed that into all of your systems you're using to measure, to activate, to how you're presenting creative, all of these things are driven by all those different signals. So the main advice I give to anyone is really trying to think hard about what are those key drivers of demand, what are those key signals, and how can we integrate that into our systems.
That's a good one. And I think it ties in with how I would articulate this. I mean, taking an outside-in perspective and to what Max is saying, our clients need to understand how their digital consumers are changing. And there's a big change happening, right? So it's understanding the changing consumer behavior in client-specific industries. It's that. And it's making sure that the way our clients operate and work, and to an extent we have it with our own marketing team, are ready for that future, right? So it's really understanding that state of change. If the consumers that you want to sell your products to are radically changing how they're buying these products online, you probably won't be as successful with the structure you've had for the last 20 years, right? So really figuring that out, scrutinizing that, understanding how that needs to be built, who are the right partners to team up with, who have your best interests at heart. I think those are really important steps to take. And to Max's point, the data will lead you there.
Well, thank you both. I think I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, Max, if somebody is interested in getting in touch about one of the products or solutions that you have gone through today, what is the best way to do that?
I thought I'd ask you that question.
That is the best way.
Obviously, please reach out to your local Incubeta representatives, but also all the information's available on the website.
Yes. Also, you can email us at hello@incubeta.com to ask about anything you've heard today. Thank you both so much for your time today. As Mike has talked about several times today, our 2026 marketing outlook is available. You can scan the QR code and download it. It is an incredibly interesting read and definitely super concise to make it easy to digest. But again, thank you. The email address is there. We hope you enjoyed it, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Thanks.